Hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. A rebranded and fresh look. I'm now moving forward going to be referring to myself as Red Devils Down Under. Still under the moniker Josh MUFC. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's a lovely 11:45 p.m. here in Australia at the moment. Coming at you live with a Manchester United versus Manchester City preview. Internationals are almost over, and we're getting closer and closer to the Premier League being back and the hectic October, November leading into the World Cup. And the match that I'm most looking forward to is the Manchester Derby this round. So, anyway, I'm going to jump into a few bits of content before we get started. Don't forget, drop a like, share, subscribe if you're new, if you like what you see. And head on over to Talk Football. I'm over there regularly as well with Anthony and Jesse and all the guys. So head over there, Talk Football on YouTube. So anyway, we'll jump right into it here. So I'm going to start off looking here at the Premier League table, just as a refresher to show everyone where we're at. So I'll just add in here. Right, so as you see, Arsenal sitting top, City sitting second. The points differentials are literally one. Goals for and against City are the best in the league, barring Brighton when it comes to defence. Look, the continuing on as they have done seasons gone by, and not a lot of adaptation needed. Haaland's been a revelation. They're banging in goals left, right, and centre, and it's going to be a very, very difficult game. I'm excited for it to see how United stack up against one of the big boys. Question: Liverpool weren't really playing that well when we beat them, and Arsenal, I think they were sort of in a sort of a false position. I think they were over egging the pudding too much. To be fair, they thought they were going to get away with it, and well, it's a bit of a shock, and I was happy to see it. But City are a completely different beast. I still think United could get a result here, and I'll go into why a little bit later. So anyway, I'll start with just a little bit on City. We all know they're doing brilliant. They're undefeated, 5 wins, 2 losses, and so we'll go into the most recent matches of them, just to show sort of how they've been traveling along. All right, so I'm pretty sure back here is where the season has started. So anyway, the run of form, the only blemishes have been Newcastle, where they drop points in a draw. They've smashed 6 past Forest. A sneaky draw there against Villa, which actually surprised me. But every team they've come across, they've basically just disposed of, thrown to the side as if they're a rag doll. I don't think it will be as easy against United. I just think the form and the gelling of this team is going to make it difficult for City to come and get a result. Well, sorry, us to go to City and get a result, I should say, being at the Etihad. Look, the biggest concern I have in regards to this match is basically the loss of momentum that this 2-week break and then the postponing of said games due to the Queen's passing and the funeral, etc. I feel like United were really starting to gel, really starting to get some momentum, and this could either be a blessing or a curse, this last gap. I mean, Christian Eriksen did wonders for Denmark. Dalot scored 2 goals for Portugal. Malacia, I think, scored a goal for the Netherlands while on break. Casemiro and Fred both played well for Brazil. So no matter what, all round, it's been the United players have actually continued their form into their international matches. Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw playing and have played. Haven't been that great, to be honest. And England's dead at the moment. So I don't really care about international football, but it's good to see that the motherland are suffering at the moment in the Nations League. Southgate's got to go. there was a really good stream actually on Talk Football. Anthony and I and a couple of Man City guys we're all having a chat about Southgate. So if you want to head over there and check that out, it was a good 2 hour stream. Yeah, wonderful things to see. So anyway, I'll move on to just some general talking points. Just start off with some injury concerns regarding City and United, respectively. So move straight into Manchester United injuries. I'm on the website premierinjuries.com. They give you completely up to date injury things and sort of the status and condition and return date. So we go through here. We see Donny van de Beek injured. It's a knock. Potential return date the 2nd of October and a 50% chance of playing the next game. Marcus Rashford, thigh injury. Now, the further detail here, I'm pretty sure it was Ten Hag quotes from post-match conferences and things like that. September 14th saying that Marcus Rashford is still not available. It is still the same consequence after Arsenal. He has a muscle injury. I don't think he will be out too long. We expect him back quite soon in the team with the same return date as Donny van de Beek predicted and 50% chance of starting the next game. Facundo Pellistri, I mean, he hasn't really featured, and I don't think he will for the first team. Same deal. He's got an ankle/foot injury. Same return date and 50% chance of playing in the next game if he's called upon. And then we have a longer list down here. Brandon Williams, no return date. He's been ruled out for the time being. Martin Dubravka, new signing, low knee, has a muscular injury, being assessed 25% chance. Harry Maguire, thigh injury, 25%. But I mean, he's going to be playing for England in their next game, so that's. I think he's going to be available, but I still don't think he will play in the matchday squad as a starter. I don't know why they've got Mason Voldemort on there, but we all know what that's about. So anyway, he must not be named, dick face. And the last one down here, Anthony Martial. It's a calf/shin/heel injury. On September 7th, it says, yes, he's still out, he's progressing, but he's not ready to get back into the team training or in a game. Now, I heard news recently that Rashford is doing some vertical training, high jumps and things like this, so it means that he would be quite close, and honestly, I think he might actually play this weekend against City. I mean, he obviously didn't go away with England, and he's just been working on his rehab, so I expect him to be basically full fitness, maybe used as a sub, but we'll move on to lineups. Anyway, I'll jump on over to the City injury list here, and then I'll go into the comments after we're done here. So Laporte has a knee injury, and mid-September it was said that he's back in training, but he's not ready. He has 75% chance of starting, so potential return date of the 2nd of October, like everyone else here. So that kind of borders on game time, but we'll see how that goes. Calvin Phillips, shoulder injury. Apparently he is ruled out. Don't know why that would be the case. I'm pretty sure he was playing for England. I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. Now, the most recent one was John Stones on international duty. He felt something with his hamstring during the game. There's no return date at the moment, and he's currently being assessed and has been ruled out for the Manchester United game, barring a miracle. So, I mean, it's a like for like. If Stones is out and Laporte comes in, I'd say that's a bonus for City's defence, to be completely fair. Anyway, I'll jump into the comments here quickly. Twisted, thank you for joining me. Hi, guys. Smash a like, please. Absolutely. Keep them coming. I'd love to see it. United have only scored 8 goals in the league. That's the only concern. Well, for me, that speaks as to the progression and the change of play style that United are adopting. I mean, the low scores don't really bother me. It's the overall performance that's actually been impressing me more. So coming up against City, I can't see United putting too many goals past them. I'll go into a little bit of tactical things a little bit later on about that. But yeah, the issue with the goal scoring is that Marcus Rashford has basically been leading the line for the most part. He's not really an out-and-out striker. He'll be good for sort of a counter player, but he's not a Martial, and he's definitely not a Ronaldo. He's sort of somewhere in between. And yeah, there's been so much changes and everything else regarding the starting striker that once things settle down and we see some consistency, I think the goals will start to flow a little bit more. Chances are being created, but it's still not enough. Anyway, I'll go into some comparisons a little bit later to show you exactly what I'm talking about there. Yeah, so that's it for now. So with with the City game here, I have the main concern that I have is that, like I said before, this international break and the 2 weeks previous to it with the Queen stuff, the momentum that was being built could be completely stalled, but I don't think that'll be the case. As I said, the internationals have gone away and performed very, very well, and especially kudos to Diogo Dalot for putting two into the net. It just shows me that they went away and they played exactly the same way that they have been for United, and they kept that up, and that has translated into another team. So, what Eric Ten Hag is trying to instill and teach these players as a team and individually is paying dividends in multiple ways in different teams, international and domestic. So, for me, going away and playing the same and still performing should only boost their confidence even more coming back into play against City. Now, the overarching issue is that how are United going to get the result if they get a result, and what is going to be the most likely result? So, how are they going to get the result? What is the result going to be? I should say. So, the biggest thing here is that I don't think United are going to try and go toe to toe with City, because we've seen so many times over the last 3, 4, 5 years that anyone that tries to go toe to toe with them and play the same way that City do, they get torn apart, and they usually hold 4 or 5 plus. We saw last year the players down in tools for United. They ended up, they ended up holding 4 and 5 against Liverpool. Ended up holding 5 against City. This team are so regimented and so aligned with each other that you have to basically play in a way that counteracts what City are trying to throw at you. So yeah, I'll move into that a little bit later. I'm going to jump through here into a comparison matrix through Squawka. I've been here before. It's basically a comparison of the key statistics of City versus United this season only. I could move into the last season, but I think that's a bit of an anomaly at the moment. But got another comment here from Twisted. United need to score at least 2 goals to get anything out of the game. And I think you're right there. The only way I can see something happening is that if United continue their brilliant defensive form of late, and basically just play the low block and make it impossible for City to break through. And I've got a predicted lineup that I've got in the next tab that I'll show a bit later, but I think Ten Hag will go with a more mobile midfield than he has at the moment, just to run around and snap the ball off the players, and basically do a low block and go for a counter. Long direct balls for the strikers and wingers to run onto in space, because we know City like to play a high line, but they're also, as I said, very regimented, very touch and go, tiki taka style, which yeah, a lot of teams do struggle to cope with unless they're playing it back 10, for example. But yeah, so 2 goals, it is a reasonable shout. But I feel like the United defense, can do a job for the game. I'll move on to the next one here. Are United disciplined enough to sit back for 90 minutes? That's a good question. I think they are, because I think that the pressure in previous seasons has been from um, too many players sitting back and trying to like you saw it in the early time where while he did have a good record, and I think these same tactics will be employed. Ollie would sit back with Fred and McTominay sitting in front of the back four, and they would be all tucked in very close. And as City, they might go wide for Sterling and whoever was out wide for them, Sterling, Mahrez, whatever. You would see the fullbacks then push out to meet those guys to try and prevent the crosses, and your DMs would drop back into the defensive line, so that they're literally blocking by sheer volume of players. Um, I think with this adaptation, I'm not sure how many I'm not sure how many matches you've seen Twisted or anyone else here of United, but the fact that I think it's 2 clean sheets now on the bounce. I could be wrong. Let me just bounce back over here for a minute. I'm going to go into Man United's games just to draw up a comparison here for you, because just trying to see where the clean sheets have come from, because they've all come from not having Maguire in the team, ironically. All right, so if we go back a few, they had a clean sheet against Sheriff. So that's not Premier League. Clean sheet against Leicester, clean sheet against Southampton. Both of those games were not with Maguire in the team. Now, I think they are disciplined enough. Because the defense is, I guess, more proactive than it has been in previous seasons, and with the other players that have been there, with Lindelof, Maguire, and whoever, Bailly even just coming in and out and rotating. Ten Hag has instilled / is instilling discipline into them, where they're not aggressive, but they're assertive defenders. So Varane is good enough to meet a player as he's receiving the ball. Martinez is quick enough to meet a player as he's receiving the ball. And I feel like, as I said, I feel like playing in a low block is basically just going to result in City having to try and work around the team rather than passing through the middle, because this stone wall that United has recently implemented, while they're not scoring a high rate of goals at the moment, they're not conceding since those first 2 games in the same way. So it is very promising. And I mean, I know, speaking for myself and possibly even some other fans, the fact that when those back four are playing, there is minimal to no stress when teams are coming out to attack us. So I know I'd always be pulling my hair out and grinding my teeth and biting my nails when it was when it was Maguire or Lindelof in there, no matter who he was partnering with. Because there was always that chance they were, out-muscled, outpaced, or even just a personal error. Like these things were issues. Is Casemiro ready for a full game? I don't think so yet. I think he'll probably have another couple of 45-minute appearances. I would like to see him start in this game, and I've got a lineup coming up later which will actually answer this question. So yeah, we'll move on a little bit. So I'm going to go back to Squawker here. Just a little bit of a statistical comparison. Manchester United versus City here. Now, 6 games versus 7 played. United had both cancelled due to those reasons. Now, City has lost a lot less possession than Manchester United, but again, this to me just indicates exactly what I was talking about before. City are so used to playing the way they are that it's second nature. They know where the next player is going to be for that pass. They know where the movement is, and if they have to make that impulse decision, their players are class enough to change the direction or change their thought when it comes to who the next player to receive the ball is going to be. And again, they don't get pressed, they don't get pressured. Most teams will sit back against City, so they're not going to lose possession at as high a rate as other teams. So United have lost a little bit more possession. Again, this has come down to defensive mistakes, an adaptation of a new style. Like it's not excusing them. This is really just a par for the course sort of thing. As you see, offsides are fairly similar. United have far less goals than City because of one Erling Braut Haaland that has joined City. I thought was going to flop, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen that way. Brought to you by Kirks. Conversion rate of goals is interesting here. I think, and I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like City's conversion rate's gone up about 4 or 5% compared to last season. And I can put that down to the one man being Haaland. The fact that he's been scoring, I think he scored half their goals this season. So that he is a phenom, and I'm actually not that worried about him in this game, to be honest. Lisandro Martinez has shown me that he can match it with anybody, and I remember him playing in Ajax against Dortmund. It was last season in the Champions League, and kept him quiet. I don't think he scored against them in either of the games. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so we'll go into chances created here. 98 from City to United's 60. Shot accuracy is slightly higher from Man United. Those percentages don't really bother me too much. That's just showing that they're doing the same thing and they're getting a similar amount of output when it comes to chances created versus goal execution and accuracy. But the interesting statistics here for me are the pass accuracy and crossing accuracy. City is far, far more dominant in these. Again, all of these down the right-hand side there, all those green statistics that are showing City's dominance, it literally comes down to that same fact that I've mentioned a few times already. City are a well-oiled machine. United are becoming a well-oiled machine, but they still have a couple of oil changes ahead of them and a couple of long-term services, more players to come in, and things will improve as the season moves on. So I'm going to move on now into my predicted 11, and I'll explain as to why I have selected this team. This website, Build Lineup, you can just do anything you want. When it comes to, you can pick your colors, you can add player numbers, positions, text on jersey, no text, first and second colors. You can customize it. You can have preset lineups. You can add bench players. So yeah, really good site. If you're a content creator and you want to find something that's quick and easy, this here literally took me 5 minutes to type everything in, move a few players around, and yeah, here we are. So going from back to front, this is how I think United will line up against Man City, and I'll tell you why, because I've got a couple of slash players in there. So I think it will be De Gea in goal, Malacia, Martinez, Varane, and Dalot as the back four. I see no reason to change that. The reason being, hang on, Mum's asleep. Yeah, the reason being is that they're gelling very well. They're not conceding at as high a rate as any other combinations that have been used, even this year a lot as well. And yeah, there's no reason to break up what's working. So they're fairly concrete, fairly stable positions. Now, as you see, I've got the 4-3-3 with a lone pivot sitting there. Now, I've got McTominay / Casemiro there. And if you go to the left of midfield, I've got Eriksen / Fred there. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this. I feel like this is the sort of game where you need more of an enforcer and a little bit more pace in midfield when it comes to taking on City. Casemiro, I feel like while he hasn't performed, I think he needs to come in for this game to try and take on the likes of De Bruyne, try and take out Foden for those sort of inside channel runs that he makes. So Casemiro is very good at reading the game. While he's not super mobile, he can see. We've seen a couple of times he can see things ahead of time. So he might see the pass before the pass of a player that's running a line somewhere in defence. So he will be, for example, he will be falling into these little channels here. So you might have Foden taking up this area, and you might have, I don't know, who else there? We know Bernardo Silva there coming into this channel, or vice versa. And this is where I feel like McTominay may just get a little bit overrun because for me, he doesn't have that as good a foresight as Casemiro does, and that could be to the detriment. In previous seasons, we've seen McTominay and Fred, if we go back here, sit really close to the defenders, and Fernandes and your wingers sort of sitting back halfway line. So you're sort of playing a 4-3 as your defensive quarter. Now, where things worked really well was that Fred would be very quick. He'd zip around at speed, get the ball off to Fernandes, who was usually trailing him close. Fernandes would ping the ball long, and you have a counter attack on. And that was very effective against City. But I don't think that's what's going to be the case this time. I don't think that's how things are going to work. I wouldn't be surprised if McTominay plays because he's been in form. But I feel like this is a really, really good opportunity and a match that is actually made for Casemiro to actually have an impact, because he is more, well, he's a similar physicality that McTominay is, but I just feel like he's got that little bit more foresight that may just improve United's defensive side of the midfield in the transition a little bit better. Now, if you move to the left midfield there, I've got Eriksen / Fred. Now, this is a tough one for me. I would like to see Eriksen there to not change anything, but I've got a little inkling that we possibly might see Fred, for his mobility and his tenacity, to try and sort of be the midfielder that tries to either take out a running player or go and nip at the player with the ball, so Casemiro has time to set and scale the area ahead of him, while Fernandes will most likely be taking up these higher positions on the field. So in a way, if Fred plays and Casemiro does, we could see an iteration of the 4-3-3 switch to a 4-2-3-1. Sorry, it's going to have to use a second striker there. We could see an iteration of it as a 4-2-3-1, which, again, it has been effective in the past, and it also allows a higher amount of defensive numbers, but still enough pace up front to hit City on the break, because, to be fair, their centre-backs aren't the fastest in the Premier League, and they can easily be outstripped by any of those front three. I think Ronaldo will hold bench, but that's another discussion. I think, without a doubt, Fernandes will still be playing. He'll be that sort of 8-10 when it comes to the transition. And I think Sancho, Antony, and Rashford will be the front three. I think the match is already pre-written in Den Hag's mind, and I feel like this is exactly how he's going to do it. This is how he employed it up against Arsenal. This is how he employed it against Liverpool. And I think he's definitely going to have to employ it. I think he's going to do the same tactics, maybe with one or two players different. I personally would like to see Casemiro and Fred sort of 6 and 8 yeah, seeing Ericsson and seeing Ericsson, I just feel like he would get a little bit too overrun. I mean, he has been incredible and he has transformed this midfield. He's the best signing that we haven't paid. The best signing that hasn't been paid transfer fee this season by far, and he's definitely filling in the potential hole that would have been left by De Jong. So I've got nothing against Ericsson, and it's nothing to do with his performances. But I just feel like he could get a little bit too overrun with the pace of City's midfield. Now he's shown that he's been up to it so far, but I just feel like that extra tenacity might just benefit United slightly more than sticking with the team that he's used already. So yeah, that's pretty much how I see it lining up. Twist has given me another comment here. Are you happy with Bruno starting? His form isn't great. Well, that's the thing. Bruno's form, while he's not playing sort of to a superstar level, he's still doing Bruno things, and he's still putting up the numbers. Like it's need to realize that Bruno is never going to be, I guess, the most technical or the best on pitch every single game, but he's sort of getting back to that stage where like he was when he first came in, is that he may not perform well, but he might give the pre-assist or the assist, or he might score you a goal that you need. Like I feel like he's sort of slowly but surely improving his game, and I'm happy with him starting. I think this is one of those games that you need a Bruno in there, because Bruno can find that ball, and he'll always do that Hollywood pass that people keep referring to. He will continue to do that until it sticks, and I wouldn't have anyone else playing as an 8-come-10, playing sort of these channels here in the transition than Bruno. He has a very good long ball on him, and he can drop it to the player's feet. Like, and there's enough pace in at least Anthony and Rashford. Sancho's not the quickest on the field, but he's a little bit more technical, so he might even drop in as a midfielder and maybe play off Bruno to find balls to Rashford and Anthony further up the field. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm just quickly going to drop the chat link in here into the live comments if anybody's interested. All right. But yeah, I'll continue talking about this for a little while. See if anybody wants to have their say. La, 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 la. There we go. It's in the comments for you guys. Now, the thing I find most curious here is the Martinez versus Haaland, because when Ajax went up against Dortmund, granted, two far lower quality teams, and I would say arguably Ajax were a much better drilled unit cohesively as a team, as opposed to Dortmund, who were they basically went from defense to Bellingham, who would either find Sancho or Haaland, and they'd be putting away the balls and creating the assists and the goals. Whereas the whole City thing is that they are a very well-oiled machine who are slowly adapting to having a target man in Haaland, and they're playing their way through the midfield. They can even go out wide, cut in, and the City have so many ways that they can tear you apart, which is why it's imperative United play with a more defensive mindset. The biggest challenge, as everyone will say, is Haaland's height versus Martinez. But I think we're going to see a bit of a trade-off here. I think Varane will go and try and pluck those balls out of the air that are coming to Haaland from, say from crosses. But Martinez will go up against him in ground duels, because Martinez ground duels, to be completely fair, are quite good statistically. I'll go back into the comparison matrix, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a player Here we go. Sandro Martinez. This will just give you an indication of what I'm talking. Oh, that's not how you spell Emrites. Sandro Martinez. Here we go. I'll add him in here. Oh, come on, hurry up and load. Things are taking forever. Okay, so he loses minimal possession. Actually, I'm going to go up against him in Haaland. No, fuck that. Fuck that. I don't want to look at him. United can't afford emotional petulance against City. They need to focus 100%. Well, I actually think that the petulance might actually pay off in the end. If you look at United's last game with Bruno playing as captain, I felt like he took that role on very well because he just basically did what he always does, but with an armband, which gives him a little bit more reason to be that little bit more obnoxious. Now, City are so well oiled that they don't like when things actually step in their way because, in a way, City aren't the most. They're one of the more unimaginative teams. Like, Pep is so focused on having players running the same lines and the right lines all the time, so the players can get picked out. And then you've got your players like De Bruyne and Silva, who usually they do a little bit more of the thinking on the field. So that's what makes De Bruyne so dangerous. Is that all of these City players are running their lines, running their angles in the exact way that Pep has drilled into them for seasons, and De Bruyne literally has 2 or 3 choices to make. But if all of his avenues are blocked off, he's smart enough to backtrack, find the pass, recycle the ball, and start it again, and keep going until something breaks and that chance is created. But the problem with a lot of the other City players that I personally find is that some of them don't have that sort of that second thought ahead. They're so drilled that they've been trained so hard that keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I guess that independent streak doesn't come out too often. So that's where I find that United can probably get that advantage, because if they can lock down the back four and have either Casemiro or Fred or McTominay, Casemiro or McTominay as that sort of that sitting DM plucking off the players that are sort of unmarked, then the rest of it will take care of itself. Because if City are toothless up front, you can guarantee that you can get a goal or two against them. Because I've found in previous games, the longer it takes City to score, the higher their team moves up the field to apply that pressure just by sheer numbers. And that builds frustration. Frustration can lead to petulance. Frustration can lead to poor decision making, desperation, and bam! All of a sudden, they could be 2-0 down. Now, City have this tendency to, I guess, be super aggressive in certain spurts during each half. So it could be the first 15 minutes, and then they'll sort of try and score a goal. Or the first 20 minutes, work really hard, try and score a goal, and then sit back a little bit and not be as aggressive while recycling the ball quite heavily. And that's where, as you said in your previous comment, United need to have that sort of emotional and tactical intelligence, knowing that City are not going to stop until they've got at least 1 or 2 goals, and then basically weather the storm until they have this slight, I guess, step down in intensity, which then United can come and play their game a little bit more and maybe find some gaps if you see a little bit of toe to toe going. Moving, fair point, Josh. A new viewer in the comments here. I have no idea what that says. I have no idea what those characters are. I think it could be a picture, but you hope so. I'd like to know your context there, but thanks for joining me anyway today, my friend. It's very hard to justify not starting McTominay. He's been excellent. He has. And like I said, I'd be happy either way if McTominay or Casemiro were playing. But I feel like in this game in particular, I feel like in this match in particular, McTominay will I don't know. McTominay might be a little bit more of a liability because he doesn't have as much foresight as Casemiro appears to. So this is where the I guess this is where the trade off is. Like I said, is that McTominay might be. I think he's fractionally taller. I wish he was fractionally quicker, but in the end, he's more of the physical guy that will, he'll run through the back of someone just to try and stop the play if there's something going on. Where Casemiro can actually read the play, remove the ball from the player, but actually start that transition where McTominay isn't as good as that, technically speaking. So for me, it's just a trade off in a match only tactic, having me personally wanting Casemiro over McTominay. That and his class. Shut up, you speak poo, just like how your team plays. You're entitled to your opinion, mate. That's fine. Nawaz. Probably a butthurt City fan, scared about United. We'll see. I wish I was a mod, and I wish I knew how to make that happen. I'm actually. No one seems to be watching. I'm just going to have a quick scroll. I think I could do it live. How long do you think it will take for Casemiro to become a starter for United? Aaron, thanks for joining, my friend. Well, if McTominay keeps in this vein of form, he might be stuck to cup competitions and the Europa League. I really hope that Casemiro does start. Casemiro does start performing and start getting more opportunities. He's been a little bit lackluster in his sub-down appearances, but I mean, Casemiro is coming from a Real Madrid team who don't play overly intense. They're a very compact team, and that's kind of like a very compact midfield. That's how they like to play. And then as things up, because they've got Kroos, they've got Modric. They're not exactly the world's quickest and most mobile players. So the tactics have sort of been in regards to that. Now, transitioning to a Ten Hag style of play, where he is very methodical, one-touch passes. You could almost say he's tiki-taka again, but not really. Just the total football model. Casemiro has never played that, so he's going to need some adaptation time. I would say this stretch of games, he's going to need to start a few games because I can't see United using the same 11, especially with that Europa League run coming in. You might see players do 45 minutes 3 or 4 times a week. So you might see Eriksen, Fernandes, and McTominay swap out for Fred, Casemiro, and Donny van de Beek, for example. So, and this will give United fans and the Premier League in general a very good idea of how they can handle this high rotation coming up. But sorry for monologuing, but in answer to your question, I think probably just before or just after the World Cup should be enough time to see if he's good enough to take the spot from Casemiro. From McTominay. But then again, Ten Hag, never know what he's going to do next. He's very stubborn, but if someone drops a stinker, he might be in. Hi, Aaron. Yes, hello. Thank you for joining, my friend. Not often I get random people over here, so no, it's a good one. It's a good one. Now I'm quickly going to just duck into my YouTube here with my phone. Excuse me for a moment, because Twisted's asking about being modded or something, and I always said he could do it. There is a link in the chat for people if you're interested to come on and have a chat, have your say, tell me what you think if you're a City fan. Like our weird, interesting comment here. I don't care. You can say what you like, but yeah, if you're interested, come and join. I'm more than happy to have a conversation. So just click it in, and I'll let you go. Right, let's see. There we go. I think that just happened for you, Twisted. Just let me know. But and you know what, Twisted, don't block that guy or anything. I'm happy to be challenged and be discussed. But yeah, look, I was just currently talking about Martinez statistics here. Now, per game, this is a per 90 option. Possession lost just under, well, if you round it up, say possession lost 9 times, that's bound to happen being a transition player. His pass accuracy is actually quite good. So, yeah, that thing coming back to he might lose possession, but he's usually trying to bring the ball out from the back some of those times, but it's not been overly dangerous. Yeah, he might be up in midfield on a high line, and he might lose the ball in that time. Whatever. His pass accuracy, 80. If you round it up, 85%. That's more than enough for a progressive centre back. I'm more than happy with that. His take on success is 100%. Aerial duels 62.5, ground duels 61.9. That's not too bad, honestly. Under half a card a game. I wonder if that will come back in collections. Maybe the referees cut their cards in half and send it to them at the end of the season. If I just go into the statistic breakdown here, I'm just gonna hang on defensive. I'm gonna go for defensive stats here and see what it's got to say. Bear with me here, people. Defense in general. Goals conceded, own goals, no. Goal defensive actions, here we go. Clearances, interceptions, blocks, and oh man, I feel like I'm boring the fuck out of everyone here. Attempts, no. So I'll just jump on that for a sec. Wait, what? Oh, you chungus. Here we go. 5 clearances a game, 1 interception, 2 interceptions a game, and a block per game. So I'm not sure where these metrics sort of line up defensively against everyone else, but I mean, he's been a breath of fresh air, and to me he's like the perfect partner to Rafael Varane. I feel like the biggest the biggest telling point in this game are going to be how the defense and the DM play against City's sort of attacking 4 players. Haaland is always going to be a threat, so I feel that, like I said, you're going to have Martinez trying to take on Haaland with a lot of ground duels, and I'm more than happy. I'm more than confident that he can keep him quiet. But my biggest issue is going to be Rafael Varane taking on Haaland in the aerial duels, because Haaland is built like a brick shithouse with steel mortar, and Varane, while he's tall and he's got a little bit about him physically, I feel like he's going to be tossed aside by Haaland if they come to a physical duel. So that's where I think the game will be won and lost, into how they defend him just outside and inside the box, because City play him as a poacher and as a target man. So it's a matter of you might see them double up on him, or you might see one going close and the other one being in close proximity. I think we'll see a very tight, close, and compact defense with sort of Bruno and the 3 attacking players sort of sitting in that zone on the halfway line when it comes to the defense, or even a third of the way up of the field, to just on the sheer thought that we're going to see a transition, and the pace is going to hurt City, and I feel like United are going to get a result here. I think I'll go into the comments here. Oh, you're welcome, my friend. No worries. I mean, we've had the discussion, and you've done wonderful everywhere you've been, so it's a pleasure to have you. With everything said, I feel United will win this 2-1. I'll come back to that. Yeah. Prevent balls getting to Haaland. Simples. Well, yeah, that's the thing. So I think he's going to be man-marked, but I think it's going to be by 2 people. I think we're going to see Varane and Martinez sticking to him like glue, Sean Paul style. Got to stick to Haaland like glue, and you're going to stop him get a goal or 2. Fuck, I'm so not reggae. Oh man, I'm the whitest guy alive. Apologies, people. Yeah, so if you stop, but you also still have to stop the supply. So I feel like the choice here, like I said, playing who I think Fred and Casemiro should be the midfielders here, or maybe even McTominay stay and Fred come in, not completely change the midfield. I just feel like Fred would need to be in there for that little bit more mobility over Ericsson. And then if it gets to a point later in the game, say 50, 60 minutes, and it's still, like a 1-1 or a 0-0, then maybe you bring on an Ericsson to be creative and find those balls and make it a bit more progressive in midfield, whereas Fred's going to be more nippy to feed it to whoever. So yeah, that's that's the interesting side of it. Yeah. So anyway, I've reached the end of this. Wait, no, I haven't. What am I talking about? No apologies for being cultured. Oh no, I just don't want to expose people to my horrible singing voice. That's what smoking does to you, my friend. But yeah, so the preventing balls getting to Haaland is literally key to these guys here, the DM and the 6 and the 8. Bruno's going to be sort of an 8 come 10, like I said, in these areas of the field up here, and instigating those counterattacks, potentially the long balls. But I feel like whoever plays the DM and whoever plays next to him as the next player of progression up the middle of the field are going to be key. Haaland is going to be trying to be in between the lines. I don't feel like he's going to be playing too deep or too wide. I feel like he's going to sort of do a 37-year-old Ronaldo type thing and be there to receive the ball however possible by whoever possible, and constantly challenging all of the people in the back line. So it's not a matter of stopping Haaland getting the ball. It's a matter of controlling the midfield, and then the rest takes care of itself. So after all of that being said, I'll move on to my match prediction. I feel like, as I said, the defense, I think, is going to do a job. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I have a feeling, just like I said, an inkling that Ten Hag's going to do a slight switch, potentially Casemiro or potentially Fred. It's just a matter of a trade-off. I think if there is a change, I think it'll be Fred for Ericsson, then Ericsson to be subbed on later in the game for that creativity if it's a low-scoring or tight game. Now, Anthony has the potential to have a massive game, the one to watch. I'm going to disagree with you. I'd love to see it, but I think a game like this, it's a massive occasion. I think he could just get a little bit too much for him, and he might be very quiet. But I mean, he might get an assist on a counter. That's probably the best I'll hope for him. But all of that being said, I feel like United are going to win this game. It's either going to be 1-0 or 2-1. I just feel like City can be got at, despite being probably the best. Yeah, I think they're the best defense and easily the best attack. I just feel like there is still a little bit of a chink in the armor when it comes to the chemistry between the midfielders, the wingers, and Haaland. And I think there's something there that could be exploited. If you completely drown out Haaland and get a hold of the midfield early on, it could even turn into maybe a 2-1, 3-1 game to United. But I'll play it safe. I'm going to predict a United 1-0 victory. And fingers crossed, I think it will be a Marcus Rashford goal on a counter, basically beating everyone for pace. Anybody in the chat want to leave their predictions or in the playback, go ahead and do so. That's more than happy to see that, and we'll come back to it later and see who gets what right and who gets what wrong. Twisted said 2-1, so yeah, I think there could be a little bit of an upset here, and I'm just hoping United don't fuck this up, because I've already taken out two of the biggest rivals this season. Would love to get the third. Those oil people over the over the ditch. Let's see. Pep may overthink it playing Ten Hag. Actually, yeah, probably. He could have a big brain moment, but I actually think Pep's just going to continue playing the way he plays. I don't think he views United as a massive threat at the moment, so I think Ten Hag will be the one. I think Ten Hag's going to play to Pep. I don't think Pep is going to play to Ten Hag. So it'll be interesting. But when it comes to mid-game and into the second half, I think the tactical choices and the tweaks that are going to be made in game are going to be the things that win it or lose it for whoever takes this out. So yeah, but yeah, no, fair shout there. Hopefully, he has a galaxy brain moment and puts Edison at striker. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, look, that's it for me. Stream's been going for almost an hour. I didn't think I could waffle that long. I feel like I repeated myself 100 times, but whatever. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys did. Twisted, thank you for joining. Aaron LFC, thank you for coming and saying hello. Always happy to see new faces. And whoever this troll was, Nawaz, thank you for bringing your opinions in. You've just given me an extra view. So thanks for the algorithm, even though I'm slow on the way up. That's been me, guys. My name's Josh MUFC. This has been Red Devils Down Under. If you like what you see, drop a like, share, subscribe. Head on over to Talk Football 92 in the search bar on YouTube, and you'll find me there with Anthony and the guys. Anyway, that's been me, guys. Glory, Man United. It glazes out. Let's see how we go. All right. Have a good one, guys. Catch you later. Bye.